In this video, I'm going to be reviewing two dip pen nibs from Kakimori. I'm going to be going over the brass and stainless steel nibs, and I'll do writing samples and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about these nibs coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. Here we have two Kakimori Metal Nibs. You can see they say Kakimori on this sort of, I'm not sure what you want to call it. This is the part that fits in the pen holder. So we have the brass and the steel. Now they have a little bit different characteristics. If you look up close, you'll see that the profiles are pretty much exactly the same. However, they do write slightly differently. They fit a standard dip pen holder like this one. Here, this is a Kakimori, a Sakura wood, Japanese maple wood nib holder. These are about $35 and we do sell these on thepapermine.com. You just push them in there, they fit really nicely. Or if you have something, this is a Tachikawa nib holder, again, another just standard fitting. They just go right in there really easily. Now, these retail, I believe, for $50 something like that. They're pretty expensive. However, for somebody that likes ink, these are really good for testing ink because you can get very fine lines and very thick lines. You can go light and heavy with the ink, so you can really knock out some ink tests with these very easily. Now, in terms of performance, they are pretty similar. You'll read the descriptions and they'll say that they're different. They are different slightly. The brass one is definitely smoother. This one has more feedback. It writes maybe slightly finer. You know, it just kind of depends on what you like. I tend to gravitate towards the stainless steel one. A lot of people like the brass one better just because it is a bit smoother, but I personally like a bit of feedback, so I'm more partial to the stainless steel one. But you can see there are like 8 slits in the body of the nib, and this just holds a lot of ink. So with these, I can get about 1 A5 page with each of these, assuming I'm not writing at an angle. So at about 45 degrees, that's the max angle. That will give you the widest line. And then you can write straight up and down, which will give you the finest line. I write at a little bit of an angle, and at that, my typical angle, I can get about an A5 page worth of writing on a single dip, which is really good. It's a lot more than a traditional dip pen, even with a dip pen that has a ink reservoir. These can just hold a lot more ink. Now, when you're writing with these, I do tend to turn them a little bit just so you get even ink flow. If you just write without turning the pen, it will get drier faster. That's just a small tip there. If you like the Kakimori nib holders, they do a couple of different finishes. They have a solid aluminum one. They have I think like an indigo one. I'm not exactly sure what that means exactly. They also do a urushi lacquer one. Very nice. This is the most affordable one, but this is also, I think, in my opinion, the prettiest one, although I do like the aluminum one quite a bit too. But really, I think the reason that you would want these, they are fun if you want to use pigmented inks like this Kakimori. What do they call this? They call this Oipo. This is really nice with these, and I probably wouldn't want to put this kind of ink in a nice fountain pen just because pigmented inks, you know, you might have more of a chance of a clog, whereas with this, you don't really need to worry about that because you can wash these out pretty easily. And when I'm done using one of these, I will take just a soft toothbrush, run it under water and just try to get all that ink out of there. I find that that works the best, and then I just try to dry it off as best I can. You'll see this one is pretty new. These will patina a bit more over time. This I don't think will patina, it's just a standard stainless steel nib. I'm going to be doing this writing sample on a Papermind Mitsubishi bank paper notebook. These notebooks are excellent with fountain pen ink. For Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Okay. So I'm going to be using this Kakimori Oipo, I think is what it's called. This is a nice Kakimori pigmented ink, and we'll start with the brass version of the metal nib, and then we will go to the steel version. So this is the Kakimori brass metal nib, and this is that, what is it, Oipo ink. Now, if you hold it straight up and down, you can get a very, a very fine line, and then you start angling it, and it goes all the way, I think, till 45 degrees, and then you can get a really wet, wide line. So now to do fast writing. I don't know why you'd really want to do that with this, but you could. It's very, you can really, I mean, I guess I'm not that good with this. It will run out of ink pretty quickly if you write on its side, but I'm also, I do recommend turning it when you're using it just to keep the ink flow pretty consistent. Now let's go over to the steel nib. And here if we go for the finest lines, it doesn't love being quite right up. And then if you go for the widest, I think I like the steel nib better just because it feels more precise. And you can get, just, I mean, you can really go crazy there with the wide side. Now to do some fast writing, pop over here. You can just see for me turning it, we get more ink there. Now, again, like I said, with a normal dip, if you write normally, you can get, I would say, between one A5 page to a half an A5 page with a single dip, which is a lot more than a typical fountain pen, or not fountain pen, dip pen. In terms of the way that they feel, this definitely feels smoother. They do still have a little bit of feedback, both of them. However, this one just feels like there's less resistance on the page by quite a bit. But this, to me, feels more precise. This is more of the sports car. Oh. And they go to, again, 45-degree angle. I think it's the max. You start going too low, you'll get nothing. And then, in terms of they really are quite similar. It just depends. If you like more feedback, go with the steel. If you like a smoother writing experience, go with the brass. They're very, very similar. So what are my pros and cons for the Kakimori Metal Nibs? Well, the biggest pro here, and I think the reason that you would want to buy these, is that they are excellent for testing out different inks. They hold a lot more ink than a normal dip pen, but they're just as easy to clean, and you're able to make, wide strokes as well as very fine strokes. So you really get to test out how an ink will perform and look on a page. So that is really, really excellent. And that's where I think these really excel. Now, between the two, my preference seems to be for the steel, which is a little bit more precise, a little bit more fine. There's definitely more feedback if you want something really smooth, or more smooth, I should say. The brass would definitely be better, but they are actually, I should say, relatively close in the way that they feel. There, you will definitely notice a difference if you have both of them. However, it's not like a night and day between the two, I would say. Another pro would be that they fit a lot of different types of nib holders. So this is a Tachikawa nib holder, which is significantly cheaper than this Kakimori Sakura wood one. Now, the Kakimori one is quite nice, it is prettier, but you're not limited to their nib holders, which is great. In terms of cons, they're not the cheapest nib. I mean, there's no way to beat around the bush. Kakimori prices for their goods tend to be on the expensive side, and these are $54.50 each, which is enough to buy a full fountain pen. However, I think the convenience here is worth quite a bit. To me, these are worth it, but for a dip pen nib, they're on the expensive side for sure. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have these nibs? Do you like these nibs? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, and until next time.